Welcome to today's deep dive. Grab a coffee or a tea.
Definitely a tea for this one.
Yeah, tea. Just find a really comfortable spot.
Sit by a fireplace if you have one.
Exactly. We really want to set a warm, cozy vibe today because we are looking inward.
Deeply inward.
Right. We're pulling apart a really fascinating set of notes today centered on a classic framework. It's about the 10 pillars of a prosperous family.
And for anyone interested in the actual mechanics of generational success, this is an absolute goldmine.
It really is. I mean, we aren't just talking about a group of people sharing a roof here. We are exploring the precise structural ecosystem required to build a thriving household. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because the material fundamentally shifts the perspective, from merely just living together to executing this highly intentional socioeconomic and spiritual blueprint.
What's fascinating here is that the sources approach family prosperity with the rigor of an architectural schematic.
Yes, an architecture.
Right. It completely dismisses that modern notion that a happy family is just a matter of good luck.
Or just having compatible personalities.
Exactly. Like you just rolled the dice and got lucky.
Yeah.
Instead, it treats the household as this complex, interconnected web. Every single person's energetic state and their functional contribution dictates the survival and the trajectory of the whole unit.
That structural approach is exactly what makes these notes so compelling to me.
It grounds it.
Yeah. The text outlines 4 foundational pillars. It essentially maps out who brings what to this ecosystem, and it uses very specific, culturally weighty concepts from the original text. Let's look at the breakdown.
Okay.
So first, the mother's contribution. That is tied directly to the family's blessings or fortune.
Right.
Then the father's contribution provides the status or the prosperity.
The external piece.
Yeah. And then moving to the broader generational structure, the elders dictate the family's longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the children bring the joy or vitality.
When you look closely at those 4 pillars, you realize it is essentially a formula for a complete human experience.
It's a complete ecosystem.
Yes. You cannot have a thriving, multi-generational institution if you are missing any of those elements. But we do need to define what those terms actually mean in practice.
Because blessings or status can sound a bit abstract.
Very abstract, or even a bit dated if you don't look past the literal words.
Right, let's start right there. Because in a contemporary context, looking at those first 2 roles, the mother bringing blessings and the father bringing status, how do we interpret that without getting bogged down in rigid mid-century gender roles?
It's a very fair question.
I mean, for a modern audience, that initial mapping might sound a bit archaic.
It is a fair critique if you look at it purely literally.
Hmm.
But the philosophical origins of these concepts are less about strict biological roles and more about the necessary balance of energies within the home.
Energetic loads.
Exactly. The concept of blessings or fortune here refers to the internal emotional and spiritual thermostat of the house.
The thermostat. I like that.
It's the grounding, nurturing energy that creates psychological safety. Think of the family as a garden.
Okay, I'm with you.
This blessing energy is the fertile soil. You can't cultivate anything without that foundational sense of being blessed, of having enough, of being safe.
So it's the internal anchor.
Yes.
Which means the status or prosperity associated with the father represents the external interface.
Precisely. To use the garden analogy, the prosperity is the trellis. It's the structural boundary.
The fences keeping the deer out.
Exactly. It represents the family standing in the community, the acquisition of resources, and that protective framework that allows the internal blessings, the soil, to actually flourish securely.
That makes total sense. So whether it's a dual-income household where both partners share these energetic loads?
Right, dividing the soil and the trellis work.
Yeah, or a completely non-traditional family structure. The core mechanic remains the same.
The ecosystem doesn't care who does what, as long as the roles are filled.
A prosperous family requires both the profound internal nurturing of fortune and the solid external architecture of status.
Because if you have all the external status in the world but no internal warmth, the family just feels like a corporation.
A business arrangement.
Right. And if you have immense warmth but no external stability, the family is highly vulnerable to the chaos of the outside world.
That reframing makes a lot of sense. You need the fertile soil and you need the protective fencing around it, and then the sources layer in the generational components.
The deep roots and the new growth.
Yes. They explicitly tie the elders to longevity and the children to joy.
The inclusion of elders as the pillar of longevity is particularly profound, I think.
Especially today.
In our highly individualized culture, we so often view aging merely as a biological decline, a fading out.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
But this framework positions the older generation as the vital institutional memory of the family ecosystem. They are those deep roots in the garden.
They anchor the whole thing.
They offer a historical context that proves to the younger generations that the family can endure hardship. They've weathered storms. They represent the passage of time. They aren't just living longer. They're actively anchoring the family's identity.
And the children serve as the counterweight to that?
The balance.
Because the deep roots of the elders provide endurance, but without the children bringing joy and vitality, that endurance could easily just stagnate into rigidity.
It becomes a museum instead of a garden.
A museum. That's a great way to put it. The children are the blooming flowers. They force the ecosystem to adapt, to experience spontaneous joy, and to constantly look toward the future.
That is the beautiful interdependence the text is pointing toward.
Mm.
You can have the psychological safety, the external resources, and the deep historical roots.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lack the vibrant, unpredictable joy of new growth,
The family is functionally barren.
it is. It's a complete interdependent machine.
Which brings us to the actual operational reality of running that machine.
The day-to-day.
Because understanding the overarching structure is great in theory, it's beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily help you on a chaotic Tuesday morning when the mortgage is due and everyone is stressed out trying to get out the door.
Theory hits reality very quickly.
Right, so here's where it gets really interesting. The sources transition from these structural roles to highly specific, actionable attitudes.
They do.
They explicitly draw a line between internal family behaviors and external real-world success.
This is where the text shifts from philosophy to